The goodbye without explanation the night I left my husband, I didn't shout, I didn't cry, and I didn't even pack in haste. I moved through the house like a ghost, carefully folding clothes into a suitcase, my footsteps silent on the wooden floor. He was asleep in the next room, unaware that by morning I would be gone. Unaware that I already knew his secret. I didn't leave a note. I didn't leave an explanation. The only thing I left behind was the wedding ring he had slipped onto my finger years ago, now resting cold and lifeless on the kitchen counter. When he woke up the next morning, I wanted him to wonder. I wanted him to feel the sharp edge of confusion, the gnawing pain of unanswered questions, because that was the least he deserved after the betrayal I had uncovered. It hadn't been dramatic, the way I found out. There were no suspicious lipstick stains or whispered phone calls in the middle of the night. Instead, it was a quiet discovery, a message left open on his laptop, carelessly forgotten, as if my trust made me blind. Just a few lines of text, nothing more. But in those lines, I saw everything. The lies, the intimacy he had shared with another woman, the way he told her things he hadn't told me in months. I remember staring at the screen, my heart pounding so loudly I thought it might crack my ribs. At first, I thought there had to be a mistake. Maybe it was a co-worker. Maybe it was harmless. But then I scrolled, and every doubt vanished. The messages weren't harmless. They were confessions, desires, promises. Promises he had once made to me. From that moment, something inside me broke. But I didn't confront him. I didn't scream or demand answers. I watched him for days, waiting for him to slip, waiting for him to give me a reason to throw the truth in his face. But he never did. He smiled. He kissed my forehead. He asked how my day had been. And the more he pretended, the more I realized the depth of his betrayal. So I made my choice. I left in silence. And now, miles away, in a small rented apartment with bare walls and a bed that feels too large, I wonder if he has figured it out yet. I imagine him searching the house for clues, replaying our last moments together, asking himself what he did wrong. Does he suspect I know? Or is he still living in denial, convincing himself he'll come back? Sometimes I want to pick up the phone and tell him everything, that I saw the messages, that I know about her, that I left because I couldn't bear to look at him without seeing the lies in his eyes. But then I stop myself, because silence is the only weapon I have left, and I want him to live with it. The first week after I left, I avoided checking my phone. I knew if I looked, it'd see his name over and over again, missed calls, desperate texts, voicemails pleading for answers. But on the 7th day, curiosity cracked my resolve. There were 24 missed calls, 15 text messages, 3 voicemails. The texts ranged from confusion to panic. Where are you? Did something happen? Please, I don't understand why you left. If I did something wrong, just tell me. We can fix this. Don't do this to us. Please. Reading them made my stomach twist. A part of me wanted to scream at him through the screen, "You did this to us. You and your lies." But another part of me, the wounded, tired part, stayed silent. I didn't delete the messages. I wanted to keep them as proof of his ignorance. Proof that he still didn't realize I knew. Nights were the hardest. In the quiet of my new apartment, loneliness pressed down on me like a weight. I would remember the way his arms used to feel around me in bed, how he'd unconsciously reach for me in his sleep. The betrayal hadn't erased the years of closeness, and that was the cruelest part. I still loved pieces of him, and that love made my silence feel like both a shield and a punishment for him and for me. By the second week, the tone of his messages changed. Anger began to seep through the cracks of his desperation. I deserve to know why you left. You can't just walk out on a marriage without explaining. If you wanted space, you should have said so. This is cruel. Cruel. The word burned. Had he thought about cruelty when he whispered sweet nothings to someone else behind my back? Had he thought about cruelty when he touched her the way he used to touch me? His anger only hardened my silence. But then came the 3rd week. One night, a knock rattled my door. My heart jumped into my throat. I knew before I even looked through the peephole who it was. Him. He stood there, hair disheveled, eyes hollowed by sleepless nights. He looked nothing like the man I had left behind, the man who smiled so easily while hiding his secret life. He looked broken. "Please," he whispered when I opened the door just an inch. "Just tell me why." The words trembled out of him, and for a moment I almost broke. I almost threw the truth at him like a weapon, let it pierce him the way his betrayal had pierced me. But something in me resisted. "No," I said firmly, my voice steadier than I felt. "You don't get the truth. Not from me." His face twisted in pain, confusion, desperation. He pressed his hand against the door as if to stop me from closing it. "How am I supposed to fix anything if you won't even tell me what's wrong?" I stared at him, my chest tight. He didn't even realize that what was wrong wasn't something I had caused. It was his mistake, his affair, his lies. And the fact that he still didn't admit it proved just how deep his deception went. "You don't get to fix this," I whispered. Then I closed the door in his face. His fists hit the door once, twice, and then there was silence. When I peeked out the window minutes later, he was gone. I slid down the wall, tears spilling freely for the first time since I left. Not because I regretted leaving, but because betrayal is never clean. It leaves jagged edges, fragments of love still tangled in the ruins of trust. And as I sat there, I realized something. Silence wasn't just my weapon. It was also my prison. The question clawed at me relentlessly: would I ever be free if I never told him the truth?